artists create the illusion of distance? It's a little bit of a magic trick. Using the right tools, you can convincingly create the perception of depth on a flat two-dimensional surface. To illustrate, we're going to be making a tunnel book. The pages hold 5 strategies for increasing the illusion of distance. We'll go through them one at a time, but let's start with the materials first. We need some colorful paper. I'm using Blick premium colored art paper. One 12 by 18 sheet of black, cut in half vertically, will form the walls. We'll need 8 pages total, 6 by 9 or half of a 9 by 12 sheet. Choose only 3 to 4 colors. Some pages will be the same. A 6 by 9 piece of either white or black cardstock will serve as your background. You'll also need colored pencils, a glue stick, scissors, and a ruler. The first depth creating technique is actually physical dimension. Artwork can have 3D elements that are raised off the surface to create shadows and texture. We can use this strategy to form the walls of our tunnel book. Use a ruler to mark 1-inch increments along the sides of the black paper. Line up your ruler and fold, then turn the paper over and make the next fold in the opposite direction. It's helpful to use a folding tool to press the creases. Continue folding, accordion style, until the page is completely folded. Then repeat on the second sheet. Glue these to the cardstock on either side. Make sure to align with the edges and place them in the same direction. Set that aside for now. Depth technique number 2 is layering and overlapping elements. In a piece of art, we know that one object is closer than another when it is placed in front. Objects overlap one another, and in our tunnel book, the pages will overlap and form layers of frames. First, arrange the pages in order, either from the lightest to the darkest or darkest to the lightest, depending on how you want it to progress towards the color of our background. For this example, I am going to go from the darkest to the lightest because my background is going to be white. Fold the top page in the center and crease it, and then cut it into a frame. Now, you can draw the shape that you'd like first, or if you'd like, just start cutting. Keep it towards the outside because you want the largest, most open frame to be the first one. Save the part that you cut out. You'll use that later. Fold the next sheet and then insert it into the middle of the one you just cut. And you may want to use a couple of paper clips to make sure it doesn't slip out. Cut inside the first frame. Because it will be a slightly smaller frame, it will be positioned behind the first one. Continue with the next sheet. After all the pages are cut into frames, we'll move on to depth technique number 3, reducing size. Things appear smaller as they move further away. If we select an object and repeat it on each page of the book, making it smaller and smaller, the back pages are going to look very far away. Using the scrap paper or some white paper, choose a subject. Make a minimum of 8 shapes that progress from large to small. For a very simple illustration, I've cut circles using a circle template. I say a minimum of 8 because there can be more. These could turn into planets, or you could make more complex shapes like buildings, birds, airplanes, fish, whatever you'd want them to be. Now we'll get out the colored pencils and try depth technique number 4, reducing details. Photographers can adjust their camera's focus so that the subject is sharp and clear in the foreground and elements in the background are blurry. Things that are further away tend to be less in focus and details are less apparent. Add details to your shapes, but add the most to the largest shapes. The smaller shapes will have very few details. For my bird shapes, I'm adding a lot of feathers to the wings. I can add things like eyes, highlight the beak perhaps draw some feet. If a bird were close to you, you might be able to see things like that as they flew overhead. Smaller birds that are going to be far in the distance, won't need very many details at all. Perhaps just a little highlight or shading to them is all that you would see. For our last technique, number 5, we're going to change the colors and the values. Distance changes the way things look and also how light or dark they are. The air around us seems to be invisible, but it's actually filled with tiny particles of dust and water droplets. Referred to as atmosphere, these particles affect how we see light, shadows, and colors. Let's apply this technique to the frames. I have 2 frames that are blue. If I use the colored pencils to change the second frame to make it a little bit lighter than the first frame, that will make it appear as if it's further in the distance. I like using this particular set of colored pencils. Blick Studio colored pencils comes in a all gray set. Each pencil is labeled as to whether it's a warm or a cool gray. That makes color choices easy. I've changed the colors on all of the remaining pages. Now it's time to bring all of these techniques together and assemble our book. We'll want to arrange the shapes on the pages, large ones on the front, small ones in the back, and then glue them in place. 1 page at a time. Apply the glue stick to the edges of the folded black paper and insert into the folds. You can either fold and glue any excess or cut it away. Align them top and bottom with the crease in each fold. I hope this project helps you to understand what depth can accomplish in art and what an important tool it is. Follow the link for a materials list, a PDF, and more.